So, what is SCM? Servizi Ewropej f'Malta. We serve as a gateway to EU funds in Malta and Gozo to make it easier for you to benefit from EU funds. We are committed to inform individuals and organizations about latest EU funds opportunities to benefit from them. We assist in the submission of project applications and support applicants during the implementation of the project. So we provide information session, we provide training sessions, one-to-one meetings, and also support during implementation. Project development. We try to provide you with the eligibility criteria projects. So each grant is different. We discussed the project idea to be competitive for funding. We support organizations to structure their project ideas. More people are coming in. And we provide support with the application process for EU funds tailored to the needs of the applicant organization. During project implementation, we provide informative documents for the organization implementing EU funding projects, support with key phases of project implementation, such as reporting, provide guidance throughout the project for proper implementation in line with EU eligibility rules, and facilitate communication between the fund operator and the beneficiary. If you would like further assistance, you can contact us, Servizi Ewropej f'Malta. We have our website, scm.gov.mt, our email address, info.sem@gov.mt, or you can call us on 27797300. So my colleague Aldo is providing you with further information about ERDF grant schemes.
Hi, good morning. I have to share the presentation. I understand that you're seeing the presentation. Joanna, can you confirm that, please?
Okay, you can maximize.
Thank you. So welcome to all. Thank you for attending this information session. The idea is to provide further information on the schemes which are presently available for enterprises. We're talking about 8 grant schemes which have been launched in this past year. There's 4 grant schemes under the Recovery and Resilience Facility, and there are 4 grant schemes, new grant schemes under the 21-27 program. However, only 7 of them have currently open calls. Basically, you have the RRP schemes, where you've got the Digitalize Your Micro Business with 2 million for micro enterprises, digitalization grant scheme with 5 million for SMEs, and the digital intensification grant scheme with 8 million for SMEs and large enterprises. Retrofitting with 20 million is for SMEs and large. However, there's no call yet. A call will be launched in the coming months. The cutoff dates are published, they are online, and they are available. They are published till end of year. An overview, basically, the Digitalize Your Micro Business. You can have a grant of value up to 10,000 with eligible actions being hardware, software, and cloud computing. Digitalization grant scheme, it's up to a maximum of 50,000. Once again, hardware, software, other digital solutions, not only like off the shelf, but also cybersecurity, analytical tools, as well as the e-commerce website. It's included in this grant scheme. Whereas digital intensification grant scheme, it provides assistance even for operation technologies, AI, whatnot. However, there is the large enterprises, there needs to be an initial investment in favor of a new economic activity. And for large enterprises based outside of the regional aid map, these would not be eligible for aid. This is a snapshot of the transition between 1420 and 2127. There was the consulting services grant scheme, which is now reflecting the business reports for SME scheme. The investment schemes, the three investment schemes, which were the startup investment, SME growth, and SME diversification and innovation grant scheme, had been sort of being taken care of under the equipment and machinery grant scheme as of earlier this year. However, now under 21-27, there are another three schemes, which are Startup Enhance, SME Enhance, GBER, and SME Enhance de minimis. What do they fund? So business reports for SMEs, we're talking about a budget of 1.5 million. These are initial allocations. So this is the initial budget, 1.5 million for SMEs with cutoff dates twice monthly. Startup Enhance with a budget of 5 million for micro and small, end of month, and the SME Enhance with 5 million SMEs end of month, SME Enhance GBER 5 million also for SMEs at end of month. So the difference is that Startup Enhance is just for micro and small. The cutoff dates are available on our website as well. Business reports. The business reports focuses only on business plans and process systems reviews. That is what it finances. However, business plans which were financed in the 1420 consultancy can still be used to apply for the investment schemes. What needs to be done is that where the business plans did not have an investment proposal in them, they would need to fall in line with the new investment schemes. And the business plans need to be concrete. They have to have direct information provided, and we say do not get lost in presenting unnecessary, meaning that it does not need to be a business plan which is a huge business plan, as long as it presents the information which is reflecting the project you are applying for. When it comes to the investment proposal, the business plan shall focus on the description of the needed investment and the technical specifications. What is available on the market? So you have to say like what you are referring to, who you got the prices from, if it's online, which websites were used. So the identification of which suppliers you are referring to, it has to be clear. And even if it's online, the dates on when you got the information, the links, the market prices for each of the core elements of the proposal, and a clear assessment of the considered options. Why am I going for that option? Why do I consider it better than the other one? So this is intended to facilitate a smoother procurement process, in the sense that you are presenting a sort of procurement process at application stage. You are already showing within the business plan what you wish to go for, but based on a clear and true assessment. The process systems review, on the other hand, it can be utilized for the digital intensification grant scheme, because those applications require the presentation of process and systems review. The investment schemes. So the startup investment scheme has got a maximum grant of 400,000. It is eligible for micro and small, and the undertaking needs to qualify as a startup. When we're saying as a startup this time around on 21-27 program, there's not the need to be autonomous, and it has to be established for less than 5 years. SME Enhanced de minimis, the maximum grant is 120,000. 120,000, you do not need any business plan with this grant scheme. However, within the application, you need to present the proposal clearly. In this case, you can either present the investment proposal or otherwise present 3 quotations. So when we say 3 quotations, you have to have 3 clear quotations for each item that you wish to apply for, the item of expenditure. As for the SME Enhanced GBER, the allowance of maximum 500,000 K, there needs to be a business plan, which obviously will incorporate the investment proposal. And in the application, in most of the sections, you will just be required to present the information as proposed in the business plan. So if you've got the description of the investment, it is already found in the business plan. All you have to put in the application is, say, reference to this information is found in the specific section, say section 3, for example, page 20, the paragraphs, whichever they are. This so as not to have double information presented in the application and in the business plan. To note that for all the 3 investment schemes, you can include a 7% flat rate to cater for indirect costs. And it is important in some applications to distinguish between what is called the core elements of the project and those that are peripheral. So when you were talking about equipment, if your intention is to set up your office, whatever the equipment is, the equipment has to be featuring the core element of your business. So if you are, for example, setting up a kitchen, the core element would be the main items, would be the ovens, would be the other expenditure which you would need to operate the kitchen. Tools which are related to the kitchen. So for example, the little items would not be the core element, but they would be the peripheral. As well, also present a viable implementation schedule. You have to show to the selection committee of the project that the project can actually be done within the set time frame. What eligible expenditure could there be? So we're talking about for the equipment, you have got equipment, plant and machinery. Mainly, we're talking about the costs for the purchasing of the main component and any training costs which are limited to the specific components. So for example, if you're buying a huge machinery which needs 1 day of training, 2 days of training from the supplier, so that your staff can operate the machine, that cost, that sort of training cost can be included. We're not referring to training costs where you go for training where you get a certificate. Here, it would be training costs related to the operation of the machine. And it would be included in the invoice of the same provider, and it would be including the purchase price of the item. When it comes to any other items which are ancillary to the main components, this will be capped at 10% of the cost of the main component. So if you've got equipment with a worth of 100,000, you can have up to 10,000 worth of ancillary items eligible. With regards to the lease of private operational premises, we're talking of the private owned operational premises required, and they are capped to 10% of the main components. For startup enhanced scheme, these are capped at 20%. This is to facilitate, to support startup investments. Whereas the 7% flat rate, obviously, this has to be within the eligible budget. So that if the maximum grant value is 120,000, you cannot put 7% over and above that 120,000. The 7% has to be part of that 120,000. The financial plan. So for the SME Enhanced, de minimis, those for 120,000, you have to provide either an investment proposal or 3 quotations. it is important that the quotations include the respective technical specifications. So for each specific core item in the application, you have to present 3 quotations. For the SME Enhanced GBER and for the Startup Enhanced applications, you have to provide a business plan. The business plan will incorporate the investment proposal or the 3 quotes that I already referred to above. Obviously, for any expenditure which will be exceeding a grant value of 144,000, there needs to be an issue of a call for tenders during the implementation stage of the project. The investment proposal, just to remind you, it will include the description of the needed investment, the technical specifications for each specific investment, description what is available on the market, as we already discussed, the identification of which suppliers offer the required investment, and the clear evaluation against which selection is being done against those presented in the investment proposal. What is very much worth keeping in mind? You have to keep in mind that undertakings which fall under principle that some economic sectors are ineligible. So, for example, Section A, agriculture, forestry, and fishing, is not eligible activities, undertakings in these areas, obviously because there are other funds which tackle these undertakings. Gambling and betting activities are not economic sectors which are eligible, and the transport sector, there are some ineligibilities. You should refer to the guidance notes that guide you which NACE codes of the transport sector would be eligible. You have to keep in mind that there is an issue with the incentive effect for the GBER schemes. So any start of works in relation to which activities for which assistance is being requested can only be initiated after the date of the granting of the aid. So after the date of the signature of the grant agreement. You have to realize that start of works includes both the start of construction works in relation to the investment or the first legally binding commitment to order the equipment or any other commitment that makes the investment reversible. So you have to consider these factors when applying under GBER. Buying land and preparatory work, such as obtaining the permits, is not considered start of works. Also, for any undertakings operating within this premises, or they have an agreement with this to set up shop, or this or that, any applications, you have to consider that any commitments required by the same applicants in terms of any agreement within this. So, for example, if they have an amount, a mandatory amount to buy equipment, machinery, in order to satisfy the agreement within this. For that equipment and machinery, you cannot apply for EU funding because that would be double funding. So you can apply, however, it would be beyond the agreement within this, in this case. Also, those undertakings that have activities which directly or indirectly include the provision of any of the eligible expenditure. So if I am selling, for example, I don't know, white goods, I would not be eligible to buy those white goods because it is my main activity. So I cannot apply for this kind of expenditure. And also those undertakings that have the internal capability to develop any of the eligible expenditure, they are excluded from applying for such expenditure. Partnerships can only be eligible if they have the P number. So they are registered with the Malta Business Registry. So partnerships, just a partnership registered with a notary would not be an eligible undertaking. Technical specifications need to be identified and mapped to quotations provided. So it's not just the quotation as such with the price. There's to be the technical specifications included, and technical specifications need to be also specified previous to presenting the specifications, so that you would show that you got those quotations to reply to the technical specifications that you had in mind. And the market testing should be clearly linked to the items being applied for. So if I'm buying 10 items of expenditure and I am presenting market testing, make it clear to the project selection committee which part of the market testing is referring to one item or the other. Just a general idea about the reimbursement schedule. We have also seen to facilitate the process of reimbursement. In this case, we're looking at different stages of claims. You can present the first claim with an implementation value of at least 30% of the main component of the operation, and it would be in line with any milestones identified in the grant agreement. So if in the application you set milestones, these would then be reflected in the grant agreement, and the 30% would be tied to them. The second claim would be the implementation of a value of at least 10% over and above the first 30%. So this we're looking at assisting you with, say, 40% when you are in mid-project. Claim 3 would then be the final claim for reimbursement, including all the remaining eligible expenditure. This would also include the 7% flat rate for the indirect cost. Obviously, for the indirect cost, is an indirect cost, so you don't need to present any invoices, receipts, whatever. It is being taken that in order to see your project through, you will be incurring this 7% of indirect cost, and it is covered in the flat rate. You can obviously present one claim with 100% of the expenditure, but the idea behind these claim processes is to give the opportunity to get at least 30 or 40% earlier in order to be able to see your project through. To note that for the startup enhanced projects, them being startup, there is also another claim for reimbursement, which covers the value of 1 year of lease. However, there needs to be the accompaniment of a copy of the lease agreement covering at least the first year of leasing of the private operational premises. So upon signing of the grant agreement, startup projects can actually get back or claim, but they would get back 1 year of lease. This is where you can find further information with regards to the business enhance schemes from the fondi.eu portal. If you go under business enhance, you will find an icon for each specific scheme that we have gone into the details. What you do is you go into each icon, and there you find the guidance notes, notes to applicants. There's also the list of beneficiaries. There's also the any information that we issue from time to time. It would be found under news. You can see it in the header, and also any updates to the schemes that there would be. But the three main documents for each scheme would be the guidance notes, the notes to applicants, and within the guidance notes, there is also now the guidelines for implementation. It is incorporated also in the guidance notes for easier reference. For any other information, you may wish to refer to msd.eufunds@gov.mt. You can refer to SEM, because they are also the first port of call for enterprises, and then they would refer us any information that you would be requesting. And you can also send a request to fondi.eu business enhance. I understand there might be questions.
If anyone has questions, you can either input them in the chat box or raise hand. In the meantime, in the chat box, I posted a link for the feedback form. So please, you can fill it in. And if you have questions, you can also insert them in the feedback form.
Joanna, what I forgot to include was that the application obviously is online. So there is in the notes to applicants for each and every scheme, there is a guide on how to present your application, and it guides you each and every step, how to register, how to fill in your application, the information which needs to be provided, the details and whatnot. I see that there is one request.
Yes, this afternoon's meeting will be the same for those who can be available for this morning session.
The idea to have two sessions is obviously that to provide different time frames when people can be available, but will be the same information.
Seems that there are no questions.
If there are no further questions today, you can always refer back to us on msd.eufunds@gov.mt, or otherwise contact Sam on the information provided, and we can give you the necessary info.
Exactly. Okay.
I think that's all from my end, Joanna.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Good day.